Did you know that Versus vehicles actually have genders? So, unfortunately, I feel obliged to put some sort of disclaimer here because of the times and era in which we live in. I disagree with the fact that I even need to bring this up, but it's a thing, so I might as well cover my ass by bringing it up. I want to make absolutely clear that I do my very best to keep my personal political preferences out of my channel. It might seep out a little bit here and there, and without me realizing it. But I mean, hey, that's just the way that we all operate. But I've done my very best to keep political topics, national political discussions or whatever, out of my channel. That stuff does not belong here, and I run this channel and I film these videos in such a way that it does not lead to political discussion or that it leads to whatever social topic is currently happening in the heat of the moment. There's been a lot of celebrity news or whatever it is that's been happening across the last month and a half or whatever it is. Have I brought any of it up on my channel? And the answer is no, I have not, and no, I will not bring it up unless I can make a joke out of it. But that being said, to be absolutely clear, I do not bring national politics into my channel. With this in mind, I bring you the following. So in episode 11 of Lupinranger versus Patranger, there's a Monster of the Week gangler who is capable of swapping genders between his victims and targets. Don't ask me why, it's just what happened. And, considering the subject matter, I actually laughed a lot more in the episode than I thought I would. Whatever. But anyways, the particular gangler is destroyed and then he's grown to giant size, but somehow he retains his gender swapping capability and can still use it when he's a giant. When LupinKaiser was fighting the gangler, I don't remember exactly how it happened because I saw this 3 months ago at this point or whatever it was. Um, the Gangler decided to use his gender swapping capability against LupinKaiser, and of course the Lupinranger had already seen what had happened to the Patranger earlier in the episode, and they tried to avoid it. So what did they decide to do? They decided to block the attack, and something really bizarre happened. In the process of using the blade dial fighter in order to block the Gangler's gender swapping attack, the blade dial fighter changed, literally swapped genders. Now, of course, you wouldn't think of an accessory vehicle like this. To be clear, there have been more than a few Super Sentai series where the mecha have been sentient and they've had an associated gender of some kind. I want to say, well, no, that's not fair, but I want to say like Goanger might have been one of the first examples where the mecha were sentient and could speak, and they were not all male characters or all female characters, but there was like a mixture. So there have been genders associated with mecha within Super Sentai before, but we're talking about a vehicle here that has no personality whatsoever. They're AI controlled. They don't have any gender associated with them. So when the Blade Doll fighter was transformed, everyone, including the Gangler himself, was really surprised by what happened next. So the Hammer Dial fighter was something of an exclusive release. I don't remember if it was like, DVD only or, mail in coupon, or if you enter the code, you're one of 500 or one of 1,000 customers who gets one in the mail or something like that. I don't remember exactly when this was released and where this comes from. I don't remember exactly where it is. But suffice it to say, the Hammer Dial Fighter was a limited production. So I'm one of the fortunate ones who has managed to get one of these. What was it? Mint in sealed bag. So that's what this is. This did not come in a box. This just came as is. I should also point out this is one of the very few occasions across my entire collection where I've gone for one of those limited release things. And I'm not talking just about, movie exclusives where those are kind of limited production runs or whatever it is. But I mean like limited production run in terms of like a reissue or like a significant repaint or something like that. Or in this case, a remold. So this is the Hammer Dial Fighter. But first, let's get into... Oh, is this part of I don't know what this bass Was it Dice Battle O or something? Is that what this is? I don't know. Ooh, there's a code on there. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I don't know what this is, but presumably you can take this to an arcade and you can scan it, and it'll give you some sort of a bonus effect because you can see there's an arcade machine right there. So presumably that's what this is. So you can scan the one side. There's um, a cell phone code or whatever it is in the back here. You can scan it with your cell phone, and then it gives you whatever it is. So that's what that is. Although oddly, none of the other Versus vehicles that I've picked up, or even the Versus Changer, none of them have this. So quite frankly, I don't know the significance of this. Somebody do please tell me in the comments. And then here are the instructions. Seems kind of ironic that the only instruction you have to worry about is that it does this, and that's literally all it does. And then this turns, and that's it. That's all you need to know. So why would they provide instructions? Okay, probably because it didn't come with a box, to be fair. Probably didn't want to put the cardboard into it. So it just says you can plug it into the Versus Changer, and it says, hey, collect all of these to make LupinKaiser and Patranger. That's all it says. And then it also says how to use, or the different sounds they can make in the Versus Changer. And there's how to transform it. Yay. Oh my god. Okay, you guys, all it does is like here's how it is in the box. You want to open it up, and then if you want to change it into its weapon form, you change it back. What do you need instructions for to do that? Really? Here's what the instructions say. The instructions say you do this, and then the instructions say you do this. That's what the instructions are for. So anyways, here is the Hammer Dial Fighter. It appeared in only one episode of the series, and I do not believe that it appeared in the movie. Or any of the movies for that matter. I think it only appeared the one time. Okay. And it is very shiny, by the way. Wow, my camera cannot handle the shiny. Shiny! It is effectively just it's just the sword dial fighter. Or yeah, I'm sorry, it's just the blade dial fighter. Is it the same cockpit? Yes, it is. Everything is the same. No, I take it back. It is slightly different. Are the cockpits different? No, the cockpits are different. No, the cockpits are the same. Oh, I see what they did. Okay. So the top and the bottom of the Versus vehicle are the same, but the wings are different. So the wings are, I mean, aside from colors, obviously, but the wings are the only difference between them. So that's the Hammer Dial Fighter. And I don't remember if it can operate by itself or like spins through the air and it can whack people just by itself as opposed to being wielded by LupinKaiser Knight. I don't remember anymore, but suffice it to say, yes, pretty much it is identical to the Blade Dial Fighter except for the colors and the wings. Now keep in mind that the Blade Dial Fighter was already summoned and on the battlefield when this happened, to everybody's surprise. So it never directly interacted with a Versus Changer, and to be honest, I have no idea what kind of sounds it's going to make as a result of this. Clunk! Perfect! Clunk! Whether that was deliberate or not, I think they're absolutely doing it as comically as they possibly can. Bonk. 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 That's all that it's for, and I fucking love it. Excellent. Yes, excellent. And now for the summon! bonk. And it's not even like an anvil sound. It's like it's very clearly a bonk. It's very clearly a comical bonk. That's great. Now, before I move on to the next segment of this video, there's something I'd like to address from the previous video that I made, which was the crane and drill trigger machines, as well as a catch-up on the scissors and blade dial fighters. I mentioned previously that when you insert the blade dial fighter into a versus changer, it doesn't matter how many times you change or you turn the dial, the versus changer does not recognize it because the blade dial fighter literally does not have the mechanism within it to be able to press on this long thin button right here. This is what the dial fighters specifically interact with. And the only time that this button is used is when the versus changer is turned to the side and you're first inserting it, and it says whatever color, and then you turn the thing, and then you flip it over like that accordingly. So you would expect that you put it onto the versus changer and you turn the dial and you're just supposed to guess. Well, I made a mistake in my previous video, and it didn't even occur to me at the time that this button, specifically in regards to the blade dial fighter, that you could still push this button even when the blade dial fighter was already inserted into the versus changer. That did not occur to me at the time. I apologize for that oversight. I'd like to address that immediately since, well, the hammer dial fighter has actually made it more relevant. So I'm going to insert the blade. First, I'm going to insert the blade dial fighter, and you'll get to hear the combination code that comes out of it. Yes, the blade dial fighter actually does have its own combination code. Right. Now, obviously, you can't do it by turning the dial, so I'm going to have to insert something in there. So, again, there was that kind of the thing where I said that, you don't need to turn the dials on any dial fighter whatsoever in order to get the proper sound effect. Well, the exact same thing is true of the blade dial fighter. Even you don't need to have the dial interact with the versus changer. It already knows what versus vehicle is in there. All you have to do is turn the thing, and then you'll get the proper sound. Turning the dial, don't tell the kids, turning the dial doesn't change anything, and you just saw it right there. It doesn't make any different sound if you don't use the dial feature. So now that we've found out that the combination code for the blade dial fighter is 200, let's see what happens if we put the hammer dial fighter in there. And for the record, no, this is not hacking the toy. This is something that anybody can do at any time. All you got to do is like stick a pen or a paper clip or whatever it is in there, and you'll get exactly the same results. It's nothing special. Bonk. They didn't even try to make that sound like an actual hammer hitting anything, or like an anvil sound. It's just, it's pure cartoon whack. That's all that it is, and I love it. That's fantastic. And oh, by the way, I should point out that the little trick of pushing that button in there, again, that button is disabled after you flip it over, so it's not going to do anything. So, okay, so that's, let's see, did I launch this already? Yes, I did. Okay, so let's move on to the LupinKaiser Hammer Knight, as opposed to, Cyclone Knight or just regular Knight, and now it's called the Hammer Knight. That's such a video game name. It's ridiculous. Doom 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 Lupin Ranger. Doom 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 Lupin Ranger. Doom 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 Lupin Ranger. Doom 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 doom. The handle is still PVC, which, whatever. And so here you have, at long last, LupinKaiser Hammer Knight. Nothing particularly special. It's the exact same configuration. The only difference is, instead of the blade dial fighter, you're using the hammer dial fighter. See, there you go. There's Hammer Knight. Shiny. I don't know why they went with orange, though. Apparently, orange and red and green and gold are the opposite of silver and blue and orange. More orange. Oh, shit. I just realized this dial fighter is completely orange. I mean, every single Versus vehicle has a little orange stripe or some sort of something rough, but this thing is nothing but orange. And a green cockpit, and is that supposed to be orange? Some sort of a glossy orange coat across the top. Is that actual orange plastic? Yes, it is. Yeah, so everything here is orange plastic, and then the overcoating is kind of, the kind of glossy overcoat is also orange as well. So it's not red plastic; it's actually orange plastic that's got a gloss coat across the top. Huh. The wings, I just noticed. I should have noticed this earlier, but the wings have kind of a. It's kind of like looking at the. Is it called the neck of a guitar? Is that what it is? It's like looking at the neck of a guitar with a bunch of strings and the. I don't play guitar, so I don't know what it is. Those um, metal bars or whatever it is that go underneath the strings. Kind of looks like that. I doubt that's what they were trying to go for, but that's just what my idiot brain has decided that looks like. So, okay. So there is LupinKaiser Hammer Knight. You know, honestly, with all of the Versus vehicles that have come out, and I'm not just talking dial fighters, but I'm including trigger machines in that one, of all the special features and whatever it is that I've gone over and that have come out, across the entire series, a hammer does make a lot of sense, but honestly, it's surprising that they would give it to the Lupinranger. I mean, it could have been. They could have put it there because, construction vehicle or something along those lines, and that's fine. It could have been like one of those construction vehicles that drives pile driver is what they're called. A pile driver, conk, conk, conk. That sounds really bad. It could have been something like that, or it could have been. I mean, turning a flying vehicle into a hammer. I'm not really opposed to it, and honestly, those do look like giant boosters. Not gonna lie. I mean, considering they don't really worry themselves with where the engines are located on these things, it's a triviality. Whatever. It's actually kind of nice that the kind of sort of puny and whatever, and I wasn't really thrilled with it to begin with. Blade Dial Fighter. I mean, it's cute and whatever. Like I said previously, it's kind of non-offensive. Whatever. It's not that it got an upgrade necessarily, but it's like, oh, they found something kind of sort of interesting to do with it. They changed the color of it to something really radical, I should point out. And then they gave us kind of a humorous malleted hammer or whatever it is. By the way, these are made out. By the way, in case you're wondering, each of these wings is a single piece of PVC, just like the wings on the. Oh, I just remembered. I forgot to mention this. The wings. I'm sorry, the guard, these black things here are actually separate pieces. So maybe it's not as perfect a. Let's see, how would I judge this? Yeah, I don't know how they molded this differently. It might have been a remold. I'm not entirely certain, but honestly, I don't know how they got the guards, the guard wings, wing guards, whatever you want to call these, how they got those in there. I'm not I guess I should be doing it this way. I don't know how they managed that. Because I said earlier that the top half of the hammer dial fighter was identical to the bottom, or yeah, right, identical to the blade. I meant to say, but is identical to the blade dial fighter. But that being said, honestly, I don't know how they got those guards away from here without remolding something. Like where I probably have to unscrew it in order to figure it out because it looks like they are made out of separate pieces. But on the other hand, oh, it is different. Oh, okay, I was wrong. I was mistaken. So the bottom of the hammer dial fighter is different from the bottom of the blade dial fighter because this one has the trademarks and the copyrights and all those things around the I don't know, the female port, I guess is what you could call it, for the blade or for the hammer. So this is actually different here. The trademarks are here, but they're not there. There's no text, there's no nothing. Let's see, where would it be? It would be on the back of the shield section. It's on the back of the scissors. That's where the copyright information is for this. But since the hammer dial fighter is a completely separate toy, even if they're compatible with each other, you still have to put the copyright information on here. So it turns out the bottom half is technically different. So that's probably how they were able to get the guard, to swap out the guard there. It's like it's molded differently. Yeah, that was the giveaway. Yeah, so my mistake. The bottom of the hammer dial fighter is actually different. So okay, all right, good to know. So that's how they snuck it in. Okay. Anyways, yeah. Hammer. You remember that thing that I said about how the scissors and blade dial fighters were really convenient for thieves. Who want to sneak around or they want to cut through something or they want to protect themselves or they have a short sword of some kind. Well, then you turn around and you give them some kind of a comical hammer, and it like not necessarily supposed to be used at the same time, even though they are. But that being said, of all the Versus vehicles that they could do a remold of, they chose the small one and they went with a hammer or malleted warhammer. Is it what this would be called? I don't know. So, aside from its kind of outrageous coloring and the fact that there's like no black or gray. By the way, there's no black or gray anywhere on this. It's all orange or gold. And I'd even hesitate to say that the gold is actually probably molded in orange as well for convenience. Although, well, it doesn't matter. But anyways, yeah, I'm not opposed to it. It's just, I mean, it was expensive. It was difficult to get, and as a result, it was expensive. So, I consider myself fortunate. And really, I've said it before. I don't go out of my way to get, or not toy exclusives, but the limited editions or whatever it is. I mean, the whole thing that kicked off the LuPat catch up was actually, what was it, the Cube Panda, which I was debating whether to get that or not. And then I was like, I'm good enough. I've given them enough money for that cube nonsense. And then I turn around, and a couple of weeks later, I decided to go ahead and get the Hammer Dial Fighter, which, by the way, is a remold that is specific to a single episode and had a limited production run. So, I suppose this remains an exception rather than the standard. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to get all of the exclusive, whatever it is. I mean, I did spend an obscene amount of money to get the gold-colored Gekitoja, but that was Bandai Asia, not Bandai Japan, so there's a difference there. I still want to get Kyoryugen Brave, or is it Brave Kyoryugen? Whatever it is, I still want to get one of those. It's like $200 or something like that. Like, oh god, I'm not going to spend that much on a remold or a repaint for that matter. And besides, I don't want samba music coming out of my Super Sentai toys. I fucking refuse. Anyways, yeah. If you like the Blade Dial Fighter, then you're not really going to lose anything by getting this, except for some money and some time. So. I spent way too long on this conclusion. How long? Almost 8 minutes. And this is supposed to be a short video, by the way? Ugh. Okay. I'm not even going to get into that argument. I'm not going to bother. Because as soon as the Gangler was defeated, it just went right back to being the Blade Dow fighter. So, whatever. And just to weed the idiots out of the audience, yes, you can in fact, place the hammer dial fighter on top of or in compatibility with the scissors dial fighter. Yes, you absolutely can do that. There it is. I've done the repaint combination. Please don't ask me. You don't need to. It's a repaint, not a remold. Except that it is. So, shut up. Um, LupinKaiser Cyclone Hammer Knight, anybody? And so with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you very much for tuning in.